Welcome to Becoming Fearless, the personal growth podcast for you if you are ready to overcome fear and step into your greatness. Our purpose is to help you overcome your limits, have loads of fun along the way, unlocking your fullest potential in life, business, health and relationships every single day. I'm your host, Charlotte Carter, a high-performance coach and entrepreneur with over 20 years' experience. I've supported many highly driven, talented people like you who dream big and are ready to take action to overcome what's holding them back. Each week, my guests and I will be sharing hacks and habits on how to build self-belief, courage and confidence to master your mindset and navigate your emotions so that you can reach your human potential in a way that feels light, fun and easeful and helps you become fearless. Let's go. Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Becoming Fearless. I am excited to bring this guest episode to your ears, to somebody that I've known for a few years now and I have a huge amount of respect for and a huge amount of love for, and I had to get her on to share her wisdom with you all. So Deep, do you want to first of all just introduce yourself and let people know a little bit about what you do now?
So my name is Deep Bajwa. I'm a luxury sales strategist, and I know that can sound a little bit like, what on earth is that? I help people scale into the luxury end of the market. So we talk about marketing, sales in particular. My background is sales and psychology, so marrying that together, and how you elevate your brand into that end of the market, creating the right luxury experiences for clients, making them feel amazing, and then also about creating balance in your life as well. And so for me, the way that I help clients do that is by creating offers that are high ticket so that you can get some balance back in your life and still give your clients what they need.
And she says that like it's really, really easy. And it is for so many people. When they're in Deep's world, they can learn so much wisdom from it. So let's scale back to you as a child, and you kind of like, who were you then? Were you always thinking that this was going to be the path that you were going to follow, or what was kind of like your journey? And what were the bumps or the fears along the way, really?
I mean, I have had a bumpy life, a really bumpy life. It's not been straightforward. I think anyone who says that their life is straightforward is either dealt with it incredibly well or is lying, because everyone has a complicated life. I think that's the thing that I've really understood as I've got older, is actually we all have a story. We all have changes and traumas and loves and joy and so many things that happen to us that just bring us to where we are. So no, as a kid, I did not think this is what I was going to be doing. As a kid, I wanted to be, I think, a dentist, if I'm honest. I wanted to be a dentist. I don't know why. Then I flitted between becoming a journalist, and then I probably got into my teens and I wanted to be Richard Branson. When he exploded onto the scene, I was like, that's the guy. That's what I want to be. Let's work towards that now. And that's when the entrepreneur in me probably kicked in. And to be honest, actually, I had my first art stand selling art, my own art, at the end of my driveway when I was 6. So we can say that I started very, very young. And yeah. I used to run events when I was around 16. They were not perfectly legal. They weren't that bad, but yeah, I would just run some nice parties and things for people in my school, and I would sell tickets for those and boat parties on the Thames. And that kind of set me on my journey to running my events company, which I ran for 15 years prior to becoming a consultant to the luxury industry. But I think who you are as a kid and all those experiences that you go to, they just bring you to the point that you are at. And that's why I think nothing is for nothing. I say that a lot. Nothing is for nothing. Everything gets you to a certain point in life, so you can never feel bad about it afterwards. At the time, yeah, we're all going to feel bad about bad experience, but everything takes you to where you're meant to be.
It most certainly does. That's something I talk about a lot in terms of becoming fearless, really. The journey of becoming fearless is about owning the fears that come up as you navigate life. You're never going to overcome them, and so that they don't show up, you're just going to be able to rise above them and be able to keep going and growing on that path. So let's talk about the events industry, because if you're in that for 15 years, it obviously held a lot of passion for you, a lot of purpose, a lot of joy. What were your highlights of that kind of space? If you reflect back on your 15 years, what were the best bits about it, Deep?
I think for me, taking a business and working, so when I first started, I was working with, quite small budgets. The first wedding I did was £7,000 for everything. And that's cake, that's venue, that's absolute food, everything. I pulled in every favor that I had to pull this off for the bride, who I still know today. So we still kept in touch. And for me, it wasn't about the budget. I scale that from working with that £7,000 budget to working with £100,000 budget, £250,000, £500,000, £1,000,000 plus budget. So we worked with some very, very influential people and really wealthy families. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about money. I learned a lot about business. I learned a lot about how they want to be dealt with, what they want their experiences to be like. But ultimately, regardless of whatever the spend is, people want to be looked after. And that's the key thing. If you can provide an experience for someone, and that's what I always loved doing. That's why I used to have those parties when I was back at school, and I still love entertaining. I like people having an amazing time. I like facilitating that and helping them get to a certain point where they can just have joy. And so going into events was just a really natural thing for me. It'd always been a theme in my life. And if you come from a place of service, it's a really good space to be in, because you just want people to have a good time. You want to take an idea that they've got and you want to 10 times it and make it absolutely incredible and have them raving about it afterwards, but always have the best memories. And so for me, it was always about creating the ultimate experience for them and just making them feel absolute joy. So that's probably the key thing that I took from that industry. But I loved it. It was grueling, but I loved it.
I bet it brought all parts of your personality to the forefront. Let's just reflect on that for a minute, Deep, and talk a little bit about yourself. And so what are the things that you see in terms of, what are the experiences that you like for yourself in terms of, just general life? What are the things that you notice? Because you will have been in this field, you will spot a lot of things. I would hate to be something that's like in a space serving you, because you probably see all of the things. But what are the things that you notice now? Because you must have refined it over the years.
Yeah, I mean, I have an eye. I have an eye for detail. I always did, but it got honed really, really sharp when through doing events and looking after people, because that's your job as an events planner and someone who is planning and designing events. Your job is to really look after people and notice the details. And we were known for details. If someone was, and I got all of those brides who wanted everything perfect, and I understood them. Like, I get it. I know you want everything perfect. I feel that, and I'm going to make it perfect. We would do things. So before the event starts, 15 minutes before, my team would do an absolute run through of all the tables, making sure that the gaps between the chairs were correct, far enough away from the table, far enough away from each other. Can we walk between the tables with comfort, with the chairs open? Are the forks and knives aligned? Napkins, are they perfect? When someone sits down, does this table have symmetry? Does this place setting have symmetry? Can they see what they need to? From that level, from floor all the way through to the actual service as well. And so I do have that eye for detail now. And I love service. I love good service. You'll be in a place where you'll get it, and you'll be in a place where you won't get it. It depends on the places. It depends on the people. I do feel, and I know a lot of people in hospitality agree with me, that service has gone down in the last few years. And Charlotte, it annoys me more than anything in the world. I try and not get irritated. I'm like, come on. It's so easy. It's so easy to do it better than this. You just have to look after the person in front of you. And it's not, I know it sounds, I'm not being judgy. I know it's a very hard thing to do. It's a hard job. And my first job was in a cafe as a waitress. I understand the service industry. It's difficult. But your job is ultimately to make the other person feel good and give them a good experience. And it does irk me when I don't get that. And so I'll either not go back to the same place, or if I'm feeling a little bit lively that day, I'll have a chat. I'll have a little chat, but nicely and diplomatically, and in a way that I genuinely just want to help. I just think that it could have been better. And I mean, you were with me when we were in Barcelona when we did that trip. We had an entrepreneur's trip to Barcelona. So me and the amazing Danny Wallace, we put out on Facebook, we're going to Barcelona. We just wanted a break. Does anyone else want to come along? This is where we're staying. These are the dates. 35 of you booked into the same hotel and came to Barcelona. And it was just such a fun experience. But there were issues where we arranged some drinks one night and there were some issues there. And I get really hurt by it, because I just think, I just want it to be nice. Can you just help us make this a nicer experience? And so I'm an expert at complaining, but I do it in a way that is for purpose. So I don't think you can complain without knowing what you want at the end of it. So there is an art to complaining. And I don't like to call it complaining. I'd like to call it a discussion. Can we have a discussion about this? I just think there are some things that got missed. And so that happened that day. And I think we ended up with 5 free bottles of champagne, loads of
Yeah.
things comped, all the food was taken care of. And it wasn't because I said, you guys have messed up. This was such an important moment for us. It was the only time in this entire trip where we would get to be together. And I really wanted it to be special for everyone that was here. And I'm happy to pay. There's no issue with that. But you guys haven't done what I've asked you to do. And we had a whole chat about what it would be like. And I just feel really disappointed and really hurt because I didn't want it to be like this. I wanted it to be better. I chose this space because I thought you had a reputation for it. When you come from saying that to someone, and they are someone who's in service, that hits differently to, oh, you just messed it up. It was awful. It was terrible. Oh, I feel so angry. That's not going to get you anywhere. So I feel there is an art to complain. So yes, I do notice all the details of things, and I will say something sometimes, but I will say it so that there is a purpose at the end of it.
And I loved that trip, and you definitely did get things switched around with the air of Deep. It was like everybody was just watching back, and Deep was like taking control. It was great. It was such a fun experience. That. Let's talk next about what made you switch. Where was the switch from that 15-year career into what you do now?
I think for me, they've got parallels. I'm still in service to people. I'm still helping people. I sort of started this journey before lockdown, I think it was around 2019. And I used to get lots of people messaging me on Instagram, on my events Instagram page, just saying, how did you do this? Other businesses, how did you do this? How did you get to these clients? How did you get in those venues? And I remember being that person and thinking, looking up at all these incredible businesses and thinking, oh my God, how did you do that? How did you get onto Park Lane? How did you get those budgets? How are you working with these amazing other suppliers? And not having a clue how you do any of that and having to figure it out myself. And obviously I did have good mentors that I found along the way, just people who would help me. And I learned to build my relationships and grow it. So I used to message everyone back individually as much as I could because I understood that feeling. You just want someone to help you sometimes. Yeah. And then it got overwhelming. I can't keep replying. I'm so busy. I'm so tired because my business just grew, and we had events every single week, and I had 4 teams running. It was very busy. So I started up a Facebook group, a free one. And I said, come in here. I'll come on once a week and I'm just going to answer all your questions. Wednesday night, 8:00. It was like that for a year, if not 2 years. Every Wednesday night, 8:00, I turned up and I answered everyone's questions. And then people started messaging me and asking me for mentoring. Do you do this? Could you help with that? I was like, I don't, but okay, let's give it a go. Let's try. So it's very organic, and it grew from that to providing mentoring, to launching a course just as we went into lockdown. I was petrified because it was all planned. And then we went into lockdown. And I remember calling up my coach at the time and saying, what do I do? And they're like, you do it anyway. And if it fails, it fails, but you'll learn. And I really do live by that mentality now. So I just put it out there, and it did really, really well. I had like almost 50 people come onto the course, and we hunkered down. And some of those people are still my clients today. Like that was 2020. So we're talking 4 years ago now. And I love that because it means you're still getting value from me. Yeah. I've grown, and while I'm growing, I'm still going to take you guys with me and keep that growth there. And so it was very organic, and then it grew into a membership and a mastermind and another membership. So everything has happened incrementally, slowly, carefully, and as it's meant to. I feel it hasn't been forced. With this, I very much just thought I'm going to keep going and do what feels right for the people that are in my world and for me as well.
And I think that's one of the strongest things that I admire about you, Deep. It's about you owning who you are, and you stand strong in that, and it's like unwavering in that, and people come across you and they're attracted to that part of you. So how would you say that you've built this kind of like inner, I was going to say inner goddess then, but it is a bit like this inner goddess energy. That. Let's go with that. Okay. Inner goddess energy and this inner resilience, which, everybody that's building a business, there are definitely things and experiences and changes that some you see coming, some you don't, and people that you meet in different spaces that you hang out in, there's changes that happen for certain. And in the work that I do, it's all about personal growth. It's all about how you take your learnings and keep moving through and keep owning your own values, really. How do you think you have been able to kind of stabilize and integrate that into your work and how you show up now?
I mean, the truth is that true resilience comes from having knockbacks. I don't think you can be a hardy, resilient person if you have had everything go your way in life. It just doesn't come like that. It comes through having a lot of knocks. And I have had a lot of knocks from a kid all the way through. I think my life only got stable and secure and in my hands when I was about 25, which is when I actually started the business. 24, 25 is when I started it. That probably is the key to the resilience that I have. I've been through a lot and I've had a lot of good support around me to help me get through that. I have, a good, strong family. I have a strong husband. I've got lots of support, and that's probably been my key. If I have got people around me that I know can not even, I don't need people to hold me like that, but I just need to know that people are there, that I'm not on my own in this world, and I can get through anything as long as I've got people to fall back on. And it's just having that security and knowing, I think it's hard, you're going to go through things in life, but knowing that you have got security is going to help you ride that storm a little bit better. But unfortunately, there is no way to be a strong human being and someone who is resilient and hardy. And this, my background is psychology. That's what I studied at university. And all the studies will back that up. How do you get resilient children, which is what I think about with my two kids. It only comes through having knockbacks in life and then assessing the situation and not having that feeling of regret, because that's really going to undo you. If you have a feeling of regret and hate towards things, you have to look at it as an experience I had. And it's really hard to do, by the way, in the moment. It's actually not something I feel you can do well in the moment, because you're like, why? Why me? All I'm doing is working hard. I'm trying to get somewhere. Just give me a break. And it really feels like that sometimes. And you will break. You will break down and you will have that feeling of just awful horror. Like, why is this all happening to me? You're going to ride through that storm. It's important to know that that's just the feeling now. Once I get through this, I'll be on the other end and I'll be able to get what I need from it and glean. And life just puts things in your path to give you strength, to give you skills, but you won't see it at the time. So you have to almost take yourself out of a situation. And again, it's very hard to do. I'm only just starting to be able to do that now and think there's a lesson in this somewhere. I'm not going to see the lesson now, but there's a lesson in here somewhere. I'm sure it's happening for a reason. And if you can come at things from that point of view, it just calms you a little bit towards a situation. You think there's something here. We'll work through it. I'll get through it. And there'll be something good on the other end of it. I've just got to keep my cool, keep calm, breathe, and carry on. And that's probably served me really well in life, just the keep calm and carry on. Just get on with it. And sometimes you do not have an answer to things. And the only thing that will help is giving it time. Nothing else helps sometimes in a situation. There is no answer. And often there isn't an answer to a scenario or something that's being put in your path. The only option you have is to wait it out. And so when there is no answer, give it time and see what happens and just assess it as best as you can. And know that it's not easy. It's not going to be easy, but you'll get something out of it eventually.
For certain. And I think they're great. That's great advice. The whole emotional, I don't want to say roller coaster, but the emotional challenges that we all have. And I think so many people that I see and work with in terms of high performance, this bit, sometimes they block all this stuff out because they have been very much in that headstrong, I'm just going to carry on and do all these things. But one of the beautiful things that you've said, which I really want people to hear, is that actually you've got to acknowledge these emotions. You've got to acknowledge that they're there. You've got to work through the feelings, but you don't unpack all your stuff there. You literally see what they are, you surrender, you let go, and you then remember who you are, which is what I help people with, and then stand strong in that, which is something that you have in spades, be able to remember who you are and then be able to navigate through it. So let's talk about who are the types of people that you love to work with? Who are the people that you really light up? Are there personality types or what are they really the people where you're like, oh my goodness, I cannot wait to get my hands on it?
I love people who are action takers. I am very straightforward when it comes to my brand of mentoring and helping you get where you need to be. I will tell you exactly what you need to do. My only ask is that you do it. Go and do it. And if you're having a hard time doing it, tell me, communicate that with me. I will hold your hand and I will get you through it. But I can't read your mind, so you have to tell me. And if you can do that, we'll get where we need to be. So for me, action takers, I'm very much red. If we talk about colors and the color theory, I am red. I'm an action taker. Give me something, I'll get it done. not all the way straight. Might go like this, but I'm going to get that thing done.
Yeah.
And I think I attract people like that who will just get on with it. And those are the people that I love to work with, because if you are willing to take something, learn it and implement it in your business step by step by step, you're really going to see the results. And when people come and work with me, I want you to get the results. I don't want you to walk away and think, I didn't really get anything from that. And the thing is, I've had people work with me and then walk away with that feeling, but I can hand on heart tell you it's because they did not implement it. They wanted things done for them, or they took too long to do it, and then the feeling goes, and that's fine, you know. Everyone has their own stuff. Maybe you weren't ready for it. But the people that I love are the ones who will come, do the work, and they see the results. And that's so satisfying. You know what that's like, Charlotte. You work with high performers.
Yeah.
They are just so satisfying to work with, because they'll just get on with it and do the thing that needs to be done and then get the results.
So let's talk about some of their results then. What are your, the people that have come to work with you, they will have got some phenomenal results. And obviously that's a lot of them doing the thing, but you've been guiding them. It's definitely a partnership, isn't it? So what are the kind of results that people can expect if they do the thing and do the aspects that you're going to teach them? If they then went, absolutely head down and did it, what are the kind of results that they could imagine for themselves?
I can give you some examples of clients, if that kind of helps. We've had one of my favorite clients to work with is a caterer. She's a female caterer working in the kind of the fusion Asian space, which is quite niche. When she first started, she was probably average order value for a wedding was around £10,000. And this is for the catering. And that's quite low when it comes to an Asian wedding, when you think about the numbers and the amount that people tend to spend. She had taken everything on board. She carved her niche. She understood that actually she's for fusion clients, those who want a mix of fusion food, but also a very particular type of client. And it's those who are generally in, mixed marriages. So not straight, not both Asian, so that she could cater to both sides of whatever it was that they needed. But also she realized that she wasn't for all of these big flashy venues. She wanted the more kind of stately homes and outside of London and the country feel. Really honed in on that, did all the things I told her to do, because for her it was about building relationships. I love the referral method. It's particularly in events, it works beautifully, and she did that. Now she's gone from that £10,000 average order value to £45,000 average order value, and she's getting about 3 to 5 of those a month now.
So good.
Just so good. It made me so happy, because she's able to send her kids to private school now, which she really wanted to do. It was one of her biggest motivations. She has a child with special needs. She needed to make sure he was taken care of, not just now, but for the rest of his life. It's given her the ability to do that. And this is what I really love about money. We're not making it for the sake of just having it in our bank account. We're making it because we need freedom and choice in our lives. And for some of us, we need more of it, and we need more choices, more options, because of our scenarios and situations in life, like that particular client. She has a situation she needs to be able to provide and create bandwidth in her life for. So actually being able to scale into the higher end of the market means that she doesn't have to take on 30 events a month. She can take on 3 to 5, and they're at the premium end. So she's able to actually work less, work still hard and beautifully for those clients, because when you charge more, you've got more time to give to those clients. So it all works. But then she's able to do what she needs to do, and that money's helping her in her life. So that's one example. But all of my clients are like that. It's about creating space and time in their lives. We do that through money. And that's why I feel comfortable talking about money, because it's not money for money's sake. What do you want it for? We have to tie it into what you want it for and why you do what you do. And I could talk forever about my clients. That's one. There's multiple.
Yeah. So all of the details to get hold of Deep and find out more about how you can work with her, how you can listen, look about people that have worked with her, and kind of get a feel of the kind of things that Deep's given me all the details. They'll all be below the podcast. But let's just talk for a minute before we round out a little bit about personality or key traits. So let's talk about key traits that you think people, to build like empires, let's talk about that, because people have their own version of an empire, or to build a life that feels rich. That's what I like to talk about, a life full of richness, whatever that means for you, because some people it's stacks of cash, some people it's stacks of opportunities, some people it is a different richness, isn't it? Time. So what do you think are kind of like the main or the non-negotiables? Let's go non-negotiables that people have to practice you think about that lady that you just talked about, they have to practice to be able to get themselves into this rock solid certainty that that's where they're going to go, and they can hold themselves there.
Do you know, there are so many things. There are so many things that feed into that. Having focus, being resilient, being so sure of where you want to end up and what you want to do, and really seeing that and pushing forwards. But beyond any of that, it's consistency. It's showing up when you don't want to show up. It's knowing that I have to keep doing this work over time. Now, I am a little bit into star signs. I'm a Capricorn. I'm going to keep going. That is one thing about us. We will keep going. Put whatever you want in our way. I'm going to climb that mountain. I might slow down. I might take a nap. It might be hard sometimes. I might cry in between, but I'm not going to stop. And I think that's a really key trait in a lot of successful entrepreneurs. We do not stop. You have to keep going. There's no end point. There's no option where this is not going to work out. And that really needs to be in your head, that positivity. And it probably is positivity, Charlotte, that you just are so sure of where you're going that even if it's hard, I'm still going to put one foot in front of the other. Some days I'm going to put 10. Some days I'm going to take half a step backwards, but then the next day I'm going to go forwards. Yeah. If you can keep doing that, I mean, in my business, I started it before I had kids. I've got 2 kids, and I had them while running the business, and I didn't stop. And I get a lot of people in events say, but how did you do that? Like, I want to have a baby, but I feel like business needs to be home. Please don't stop your life. Don't stop living your life. If that's something that you want to do it. I promise you, you will figure it out as you go along. You cannot think I need to have all the solutions before I jump into something. Jump in, the solutions will become clearer to you. You can't see what's down the line. You're making decisions and taking actions according to what you think is coming down the line, but you don't know. So you need to take that first step, second step, third step, and maybe you need to know 1 or 2 routes that you're going to do, but you don't need to know all 10. You don't need to know the path to the end. It's not even showing in your life yet. So you can't wait for that. Live your life as you're going along. Do all the things that you need to do and want to do and your heart desires, but just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Don't stop for anything. If you want that end goal, you just can't stop.
Love it, Deep. So much love for you. So finally, the last question that I have is the question that I ask everybody, which is a book that you have read or that's influenced your life in some way, shape or form.
So when I was 16, I read Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist, and it had a huge effect on the way that I think. It opened my mind to a different way of being. It almost took me out of myself at that age, made me think so much wider and much more spiritually about who I am and how life is and understanding it. And I've read it 2-3 times since then. I have a copy. It just is one book I recommend to people over and over and over again. You have to read it with a particular mindset and just be open to the concepts within it. Yeah. But it really forced my brain to think in a very different way. I am quite focused and very logical and very practical, and we're just going to go, 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 go. And I am a hard worker. And I think that book softened it all a little bit for me, that actually life doesn't always have to be like that. It can be relaxed. You can have those moments of introspection, and they're not weakness. You can give your soul and your heart time, and it's not taking away from you. It doesn't make you less than. I think, the time that I grew up in, that we all grew up in, was a little bit toxic when it came to work and femininity, and they didn't really go together. And I think that's a big mistake, because we as women, as feminine people, are so multi-talented, so multifaceted. We have so many parts to us that if we are trying to constantly be in our masculine, we are really we're doing ourselves a disservice, because there's so much power in your own feminine, and you have to learn to lean into that. And still you can keep the masculine. I would say that I have a lot of masculine, but I have a lot of feminine as well. But that feminine, that book did it for me. It pushed me into a different plane of thinking that allowed me to soften and relax and still keep going. And
basically harness all of your energy. I love that. Yeah. So thank you so much, Deep. I have really loved listening to you, and I love just hanging about in your energy, because we always have good fun. So any other last words of wisdom you want to share?
I mean, I love talking to you, Charlotte. I feel like you and me could carry on. This podcast would be hours long if anyone really wanted to listen to it. We could just not, ever stop talking. I think in terms of, life and business and keeping going, don't forget to kind of look up and look around you now and again. If you're someone who's like me, for years, I just had my head down and I was going. Yes, a high performer. Yes, successful. But you miss a lot of things when you've got your head down all the time. And there is so much value in looking up, in breathing, in just taking it all in. It doesn't weaken you. It doesn't slow you down. It's not going to harm you. It's not going to stop your growth. You have to give yourself a beat. There's so much strength in giving yourself a beat. So don't be so hard on yourself. Don't think you have to keep going. Bandwidth is so important. Relaxing your mind, relaxing your nervous system. I know we've spoken about that at length. You've come and done trainings for my membership, and I still remember that. Relaxing your nervous system. I never told you this, but the reason why I go for a daily walk is you, Charlotte. You said being in nature will actually calm your nervous system. I was like, I need all the calming I can get. Let me go. And I still have that habit, and that is all because of you. And that was like 3 years ago. You did that. You had that. You gave me that epiphany. And so I think those things, that slowing down, although it can sometimes feel counterintuitive, it's really, really valuable.
Thank you so much for those words of wisdom. It definitely is. I think for so many high performers, it's dropping out of your head, into your body, into the space just for a moment. You have to trust that it's going to, once you move through it being uncomfortable, you're going to actually just harness all of your power in a different way. So thank you so, so much, Deep. I'm really excited for the listeners to feedback on what they thought about this episode, because I have a feeling that I will bring Deep back in again and we will talk about a completely different angle, because we do have a lot that we could cover. This was just round one. Take care, Deep. Have a good day.
You. Thank you so much, Charlotte. Lots of love.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode. I hope that you're feeling energized, fearless, and inspired to take action today to stand in your greatness. I share even more tools and resources on my I Dare to Leap email newsletter. By signing up, you not only get early access to the I Dare to Leap products and services, but you also get brand new podcast episodes delivered straight to your inbox every Monday, meaning you'll never miss your weekly dose of becoming fearless energy. Sign up now at www.idaretoleap.com/newsletter or click the link in the show notes below.